Have you ever noticed the deep, heavy exhaustion that comes from trying to explain your heart to someone who is determined not to understand? You find yourself replaying conversations in your mind late at night. You search for the perfect words, the exact logical phrase that will finally make them see your intentions, your truth, your side of the story. You believe that if you just explain it one more time, with a calmer voice or a better example, the walls will finally drop. But the harder you try, the more twisted your words become in their ears. They take your patience and turn it into guilt. They take your boundaries and call them an attack. It is a very specific, deeply isolating kind of pain, the struggle to stay calm when someone misunderstands you on purpose. But here is the truth few people want to face. Most of your suffering in these moments is not caused by their misunderstanding. It is caused by how tightly you are holding on to the desire to correct it. You are not just fighting to be understood, you are fighting to be validated. And the tragedy is that you are seeking healing from the very hands that gave you the wound. Buddhist wisdom teaches us about the profound suffering that arises from attachment. We often think of attachment as clinging to physical objects, to wealth, or to people we love. But one of the most painful attachments of all is clinging to the way other people perceive us. We attach our inner peace to their external validation. We unknowingly hand them the keys to our emotional state, believing that until they see us clearly, we cannot be at peace. Buddhism reminds us that the root of pain is trying to control what is fundamentally outside of our control. And nothing is more outside of your control than the mind of another person. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that is warped, cracked, and covered in dirt. You look into it and see a harsh, distorted, ugly version of yourself. Naturally, you try to fix the image. You adjust your posture, you smooth your clothes, you try to force a smile, hoping the reflection will suddenly become accurate and clear. But the problem is not you. The problem is the mirror. No matter how much you shift, explain, or exhaust yourself, a broken mirror can only ever reflect a broken image. Think about your own life. Think about that person who always manages to make you feel like you are the one in the wrong. You exhaust your energy trying to convince them of your goodness. You write long messages in your head. You defend your actions. You try to keep your voice perfectly steady while your heart is racing with anxiety. But they are looking at you through the cracked mirror of their own unresolved pain, their own pride, and their own defenses. They misunderstand you on purpose because truly understanding you would require them to look at their own reflection. Ask yourself, how much energy have you lost trying to fix a reflection in a mirror that was already broken? What are you still holding on to? Pause, breathe, observe the desperate thought that says, I must explain myself, without actually following it. Let the feeling of unfairness rise in your chest, without making it your identity. You do not have to prove your worth to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. Letting go of this desperate need to be seen accurately is incredibly difficult, but it is the only path back to your center. Because peace is not something you chase by winning an argument. It is something you make space for by walking away from the battle. But letting go of the urge to defend yourself is only the first step. Because underneath the desire to explain is a dangerous mental trap we all fall into. And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of the final explanation. What if the closure you are desperately waiting for is actually the very trap keeping you stuck? Here is a truth we rarely admit. You sit there, exhausted, composing the perfect message in your mind. You replay the past argument, thinking that if you can just arrange your words flawlessly, they will finally have an epiphany. You imagine a conversation where they suddenly stop, look at you, and say, I am so sorry. I finally understand you. We endlessly chase this final explanation. We believe that if we just state our case one last time, It will erase the frustration and bring us the justice we deserve. We think that one more conversation will fix the heavy imbalance in our chest. In Buddhist thought, this endless chasing is known as clinging, and it is a primary source of our emotional pain. We suffer not just because we were misunderstood, but because we refuse to accept the reality of the present moment. We cling instead to a fantasy of what should happen. We believe that our inner stillness is dependent on someone else's awakening. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is acceptance, seeing things exactly as they are, without the desperate wish for them to be different. When we wait for another person to validate our truth before we allow ourselves to move on, we are willingly handing over our freedom. Imagine a bird trapped inside a cage. Now, imagine that the door to this cage is wide open. The sky outside is vast, quiet, and clear. Yet, the bird refuses to fly. Instead, it waits on a cold metal perch. It waits for the person who built the cage to return, to apologize, and to formally grant it permission to leave. The bird demands that the one who created the prison must be the one to dismantle it. And so, the bird stays locked inside an open cage, slowly losing its song, waiting for a release from someone who has already walked away. This is exactly what we do when we refuse to let go of the need to explain ourselves to someone who hurt us. We keep ourselves locked in the cage of their misunderstanding. We review the arguments in our head during a quiet evening at home. We lose our peace during the day because a memory of their unfairness suddenly surfaces. We argue with ghosts in our own minds. We hold our own happiness hostage, waiting for a final, validating conversation from someone who has no intention of giving it. Think about your own life. Are you waiting for the cage maker to set you free? Is the endless urge to explain yourself bringing you peace, or is it feeding your exhaustion? What are you afraid will happen if you simply walk out the open door without their permission? Stop. Breathe. The next time your mind frantically tries to build another defense, let the feeling rise without making it your master. Do not send the message. Do not make the call. Stop trying to force the door open when you are already outside. You do not need their sudden realization to make your feelings valid. You do not need their permission to be at peace. You can just let it go. But understanding why they cannot hear you requires a shift in how you see them. Because underneath their refusal to understand is a burden that belongs entirely to them. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. Their perception is their karma, not yours. What if the way they see you has absolutely nothing to do with who you actually are? Here is a painful truth we often struggle to accept. When someone twists our words, assumes the worst of our intentions, or paints us as the villain in their story, we take it deeply personally. We lose sleep, wondering how someone we cared about could think so poorly of us. We internalize their false judgments. We start to doubt ourselves, wondering if maybe we really did something wrong. We carry their harsh words like a heavy weight in our chest, letting their unfair assessment dictate our daily mood. We think that if they see us in a negative light, it is a stain on our character that we must urgently wipe clean. In Buddhist thought, there is a profound understanding of karma, not as a cosmic punishment, but as the natural law of cause and effect created by one's own mind. How a person perceives the world and how they perceive you is born from their own mental conditioning, their past actions, their unresolved suffering, and their ignorance. Buddhism reminds us that you are not responsible for the delusions of another person's mind. Their perception of you is their karma. Your reaction to it is yours. Imagine a quiet, still lake perfectly reflecting the silver light of the moon. Now, imagine a traveler standing at the edge of the water wearing glasses thickly coated in mud. The traveler looks down and angrily declares that the lake is filthy, dark, and ruined. They might even shout at the water, disgusted by its ugliness. But the lake does not churn its waters trying to prove its clarity. The lake does not rise up to wash the traveler's glasses. The lake simply remains exactly as it is. The mud belongs entirely to the observer. Think about how much of your life is spent trying to clean the glasses of the people who judge you. In family arguments, in the workplace, or during the painful end of a relationship, you exhaust yourself trying to show them your pure intentions. But if their mind is clouded by pride, jealousy, or a stubborn refusal to admit fault, they will only ever see the mud. When they intentionally misunderstand you, they are building a shield to protect their own fragile pride. If they admitted your truth, they would have to face their own mistakes. Their false story about you is simply the way they avoid looking at themselves. Ask yourself, are you carrying the weight of someone else's muddy vision? Are you letting their inability to see clearly dictate your own inner peace? Why do you feel the need to prove your light to someone who is determined to keep their eyes closed? Pause. Breathe. The next time you feel the sharp, anxious sting of their false judgment, remind yourself, this belongs to them. Observe the thought without following it. You do not need to absorb poison just because someone else poured it. You can step back. You can allow them to be entirely, fundamentally wrong about you. Because true peace begins when you stop trying to control their mind and start protecting your own. But stepping back often brings up a different kind of pain, the realization of where you have been looking for comfort. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The trap of seeking healing from the wounding hand. What if you are desperately asking for the cure from the exact same person who handed you the poison? Here is a painful reality about human nature. When someone cuts us deeply with their words, or dismisses our truth with a cold shoulder, our first instinct is rarely to walk away and tend to our own wound. Instead, we have a strange, desperate reflex to return to the person who hurt us. We want them to see our bleeding. We want them to say, "I see the pain I caused, and I am sorry." We believe that the only way to find relief is for the person who broke our peace to be the one to put it back together. We keep returning to the source of our suffering, hoping that this time they will offer us comfort instead of cruelty. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that this is one of the most tragic forms of attachment. It is the delusion that our healing must come from the outside world. Buddhism reminds us that grasping at external conditions to fix our internal state only deepens our suffering. When we demand that the person who misunderstood us must be the one to soothe our frustration, we bind our well-being to their ignorance. We refuse to heal ourselves because we are too busy waiting for them to do it. Imagine walking through a quiet, shaded forest. Suddenly, you step on a long, sharp thorn. It pierces you, and the pain is intense. Naturally, you sit down, but instead of gently pulling the thorn out and washing the wound, you track down the careless traveler who dropped the thorn on the path. You hold out your bleeding foot. You demand that they look at what they have done. You insist that they must be the one to pull it out, to apologize, and to bandage the cut. And while you wait for their sympathy, the wound only grows deeper. You stay stuck in the forest, bleeding, demanding that the one who hurt you must also be the one to save you. Think about your own life. Think about the emotionally exhausting conversations where you try to make a harsh person soften. You bring them your open heart, hoping that this time they will hold it gently. You stay in the argument. You stay in the toxic cycle, trying to extract a drop of understanding from a stone. But returning to a cold room will never make you warm. Ask yourself, why are you waiting for the person who created the storm to bring you an umbrella? Are you delaying your own peace because you refuse to pull the thorn out yourself? What are you afraid to feel? If you stop expecting them to fix the pain they caused, pause, breathe, Observe the thought that says you need their apology to move on. Let the feeling of betrayal rise without letting it steer your actions. You must gently take your emotional life back into your own hands. You are not powerless. You do not need the one who broke the mirror to sweep up the glass. Because true healing begins the moment you realize you can walk away and tend to your own wounds. But walking away requires something incredibly difficult, learning how to stop responding to their provocations. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. The power of the pause. What if your greatest strength lies in the exact moment you choose to do absolutely nothing? Here is a truth about our deepest anxieties. When someone deliberately twists your words or questions your character, the immediate physical reaction is visceral. You feel a sudden, sharp heat in your chest. Your mind races with defensive arguments. Your fingers reach frantically for your phone to type a long, furious paragraph to set the record straight. You feel an overwhelming, almost suffocating urge to jump back into the ring, to correct their false narrative right now. We mistakenly believe that if we do not respond instantly, we are losing. We think our immediate reaction is the only way to protect our dignity. In Buddhist thought, there is immense focus placed on the space between an event and our reaction to it. This sacred space is where mindfulness lives. When we react instantly out of anger, defense, or the desperate need to be understood, we are entirely controlled by external circumstances. We become a puppet, pulled by the harsh words of the person hurting us. Buddhism reminds us that experiencing an emotion is not a command to act on it. The pause is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate realization of inner freedom. It is the conscious choice to simply step off the battlefield. Imagine a small, contained fire burning in a clearing. Someone walks by and tosses a handful of dry leaves into the flames, trying to provoke it, trying to make it grow wildly out of control. If you panic and try to frantically stamp out the fire with your hands, you will only burn yourself. Your chaotic movement will create a wind that only feeds the heat. But what if you simply step back? What if you stand perfectly still and watch? Without your desperate movement, without adding any new wood to the conflict, the dry leaves will quickly flash and burn to ash. The fire will naturally run out of fuel and return to quiet embers. Think about your own life. Think about those provocative text messages that make your stomach drop. Think about the subtle passive-aggressive comments meant to put you on the defensive. They are tossing dry leaves onto your fire. They want to see you react. They want you to lose your temper, because your frantic, emotional reaction is exactly what they will use to justify their misunderstanding of you. When you immediately fight back, you are giving them the exact fuel they are asking for. Ask yourself, how often do you let someone else's unfair words dictate the speed of your own heartbeat? What would happen if you simply let their accusation hang in the empty air, completely untouched by your hands? Is your frantic response actually protecting your peace, or is it just burning you alive? Pause, breathe. The next time you are misunderstood, feel the heat of the anger rise in your chest, but do not let it reach your tongue. Let the emotions sit there, heavy and uncomfortable, but refuse to become its servant. Do your part, then release the outcome. You are not required to participate in every storm you are invited to. You can simply watch the leaves burn out. But embracing this quiet pause often brings up a terrifying thought. If we stop defending ourselves, won't they assume they have won? And this is where the next truth begins. 6. Silence as a shield, not a surrender. What if your silence is not a sign of defeat, but the ultimate expression of your strength? Here is a fear that keeps us trapped in endless cycles of conflict. When we finally consider walking away, when we finally think about dropping our defenses, a new anxiety rushes in. We worry that by saying nothing, the person who hurt us will think they have won. We fear that our silence will be interpreted as an admission of guilt. We tell ourselves, if I do not correct them, they will go on believing their lie, and they might even convince others. So we feel forced to keep speaking. We keep typing. We keep arguing. We stay engaged in the battle not because we want peace, but because we cannot bear the thought of them walking away with a false victory. We become obsessed with having the last word. In Buddhist wisdom, silence is not viewed as emptiness or weakness. It is a profound, grounded presence. Buddhism teaches that true power lies in non-reactivity. When we argue with ignorance, we elevate it to the level of truth. By endlessly engaging with someone who intentionally misunderstands you, you are validating their delusion. You are treating their false narrative as if it has power over your reality. Buddhism reminds us that you do not have to conquer another person's ego to be secure in your own truth. Silence is a protective shield for your spiritual energy. It is not a surrender of your dignity. Imagine a massive, ancient tree standing quietly on the edge of a cliff. A violent storm rolls in, bringing heavy winds, bitter rain, and dark clouds. The wind howls at the tree, slamming against its trunk, trying desperately to uproot it. The tree does not shout back at the wind. It does not wave its branches to explain its right to stand there. It does not demand an apology from the sky. It simply roots itself deeper into the earth and lets the storm rage around it. The tree knows that the storm will eventually pass, not because the tree fought it, but because all storms eventually run out of energy. The tree's silence is its survival. Think about your own life. Think about the times someone has thrown false accusations at you, trying to provoke a storm in your mind. They want you to bend. They want you to break your quiet center to match their chaos. When you stay silent, it feels terrifying at first, because you are so used to fighting the wind. You want to prove that you are strong. But true strength is realizing you do not have to participate. Your silence starves their conflict of the oxygen it needs to survive. You are not letting them win. You are simply refusing to play a game where the only prize is your emotional exhaustion. Ask yourself, are you speaking because it will actually bring resolution? Or are you speaking out of a desperate fear that they will think they defeated you? What would happen if you simply let them have the last word while you kept your inner peace? Is this argument protecting your truth, or is it just draining your life? Pause. Breathe. The next time you are tempted to offer one last defense, let the urge rise and fall without acting on it. Let them misunderstand you. Let them have the final angry sentence. Stop trying to reason with the wind, because true victory is not convincing them they are wrong. True victory is realizing you no longer need to convince them of anything. But when the dust settles and the silence finally stretches out, you are left with a quiet, heavy sorrow. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. Grieving the apology you will never receive. What if the hardest part of moving on is mourning the ending you always thought you deserved? Here is a quiet, heavy truth we rarely speak about. When you finally stop explaining yourself, when you finally step back into silence, there is a profound sense of loss. You are no longer fighting the battle, but you are left standing in the ruins, waiting for an apology that is never going to arrive. You want them to suddenly wake up, look back at the damage they caused, and say, "I see it now. I was wrong. I am so sorry." We believe that this confession is the only thing that can truly close the chapter. We stare at a silent phone. We mentally rehearse how we will graciously accept their regret. We hold our breath, keeping our lives on pause, waiting for the person who misunderstood us to finally give us the closure we need to heal. In Buddhist wisdom, this painful waiting is a form of deep clinging to the past. It is the suffering that arises when we refuse to accept the reality of impermanence. We are attached to a specific story, the story where justice is served, where the other person realizes their ignorance, and where the ending makes sense. Buddhism reminds us that the universe does not always wrap our pain in neat, satisfying conclusions. Letting go means radically accepting what is, right now, without demanding that the past rewrite itself to comfort you. When you wait for an apology from a closed heart, you are chaining your present peace to a ghost. Imagine standing on the bank of a powerful, deep river that is flowing constantly toward the endless ocean. You drop a precious stone into the water, and the current immediately sweeps it away. Instead of accepting the loss, you stand at the edge of the water and demand that the river flow backward. You refuse to leave the riverbank. You wait there through the freezing night and the burning day, expecting the vast, unstoppable water to reverse its course and bring the stone back to your feet. But the river only moves forward. By refusing to accept the nature of the water, you are the one keeping yourself stranded on the cold, lonely bank. Think about your own life. Think about the quiet moments when the memory of their unfairness rises up, and you feel that familiar ache in your chest. You feel robbed of a fair conclusion. You feel the heavy injustice of them walking away without ever acknowledging your truth. But the hard reality is that some people will never have the self-awareness to see the pain they caused. They will continue down their own river, carrying their own delusions. If you tie your healing to their awakening, you will wait on that riverbank forever. Ask yourself, are you pausing your life for an apology that does not exist? How much more of your time are you willing to sacrifice, waiting for the river to flow backward? Is this hope bringing you peace, or is it just prolonging your grief? Pause. Breathe. The next time you find yourself longing for them to admit they were wrong, let the sorrow wash over you, but do not anchor yourself to it. Let the feeling rise without making it your future. Do your part, then release the outcome. You must be willing to grieve the ending. Soldiers. You must forgive them not for their sake, but to unchain yourself from the riverbank, because true closure is never a gift that someone else hands to you. It is a quiet, brave decision you make for yourself. But taking that power back means realizing where your energy actually belongs. And this is where the next truth begins. 8. Reclaiming your energy. What if the most destructive thing they took from you was not your reputation but your focus? Here is a quiet tragedy that happens when we are deeply hurt by someone's willful misunderstanding. The conflict begins to consume our entire mental landscape. We wake up in the morning, and before we even get out of bed, the argument is already playing on a loop in our head. We go to work, we sit with our families, we try to enjoy a quiet evening, but our mind is miles away, trapped in a relentless, imaginary courtroom. We are constantly pleading our case to a judge who has already left the building. We lose the beauty of the present moment because we are so heavily invested in correcting the past. Without realizing it, we give the person who hurt us absolute control over our daily joy. In Buddhist thought, there is a deep reverence for the sacred nature of our attention. Where you place your mind is exactly where you place your life. When you obsess over someone else's false perception of you, you are engaging in a deeply draining form of attachment. You are pouring your vital life energy into a bottomless well. Buddhism reminds us that mindfulness is not just about feeling calm, it is the active, intentional practice of calling your energy back from the illusions of the past. It is about realizing that your attention is your most precious resource, and you have the power to decide where it flows. Imagine a dedicated gardener who has cultivated a beautiful, thriving garden filled with vibrant flowers, rich soil, and deep roots. One day, a stranger walks by the high stone wall of the garden and begins throwing small pebbles over the edge, mocking the gardener's work. Instead of ignoring the pebbles, the gardener becomes furious. He drops his watering can, runs to the wall, and spends the entire day shouting at the stranger. The next day, He does the same. Weeks pass. The gardener becomes so obsessed with defending his work to the stranger outside that he stops watering his own plants. The true tragedy of this story is not the pebbles being thrown. The true tragedy is that the beautiful garden slowly withers and dies from neglect. Think about your own life. When you pour all your mental energy into overthinking a toxic dynamic, you are leaving your own garden to die. You miss the genuine love from the people who actually see you clearly. You lose your creativity, your rest, and your peace because you are standing at the wall, shouting at someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. You are giving your precious water to a conflict instead of your own growth. You are allowing the person who misunderstood you to steal the hours of your life that you will never get back. Ask yourself, what beautiful things in your life are quietly withering while you stand at the wall? How much of your vital life force are you handing over to someone who does not even value your peace? Is this endless mental argument worth the price of your own joy? Pause. Breathe. The next time the memory of their unfairness tries to pull you back to the wall, observe the pull, but do not move your feet. Gently guide your attention back to your own hands, your own breath, your own life. Stop watering a barren field. You must fiercely protect your focus. Reclaiming your energy is not about punishing the person who hurt you. It is about choosing to actually live your own life again. But to truly rest in your own garden, you must accept one final, beautiful truth about who you really are, without their validation. And this is where the final truth begins. 9. You are the only witness you need. What if the only person who ever truly needed to understand your heart was you? We began this journey by looking at that deep, heavy exhaustion, the frantic need to explain, to fix the cracked mirror, to pull an apology from a closed hand. We believed that if we just fought hard enough, they would finally see our truth, and the heavy ache in our chest would stop. We unknowingly placed the keys to our own peace into the pockets of someone who was determined to walk away. But as we have seen, the harder you try to convince a closed mind, the more you abandon yourself. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that true freedom is the profound realization that your worth was never in their hands to begin with. You do not need their external validation to make your inner intentions real. You do not need their apology to heal your wounds. The only thing you truly need is to drop the incredibly heavy burden of trying to control what cannot be controlled. Think of the vast, open sky. The sky does not shrink when a violent storm rolls in, and it does not beg the dark clouds to clear so that it can finally be seen. It simply holds it all. It allows the thunder to crash, the wind to howl, and the rain to fall, knowing deeply that underneath the temporary chaos, the sky remains completely untouched, quiet, and whole. You are that sky. Their deliberate misunderstanding is just a passing cloud. It cannot diminish your endless light unless you actively shrink yourself to fit inside their storm. Think about the immense energy you have spent trying to prove you are a good person. Think about the late nights, the silent tears, the endless mental rehearsals. You can let all of that go now. Let that sink in. You know who you are. You know the genuine kindness in your heart. You know the pure, quiet intentions behind your actions. When someone intentionally twists your reality, it is a tragic reflection of their own inner suffering, their own karmic blindness, not your lack of worth. Your truth does not suddenly disappear simply because they stubbornly refuse to look at it. You are the only witness you need. You do not need an external jury to declare you innocent. You do not need the person who hurt you to suddenly grant you permission to move on. You can step out of the imaginary courtroom forever. The next time the memory of their unfairness tries to pull you back into the endless battle, gently step away. Observe the old urge to defend yourself, and let it pass like a leaf on the river. You no longer have to explain the depth of the ocean to someone who is terrified of the water. You can just let them misunderstand you. You can let the quiet silence be your strongest shield. You can finally return your precious energy to your own beautiful garden. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. Peace was never outside of you.